11th, 2024, 2 o'clock Commissioners' Consent Agenda meeting. It is 2:02. Let the record reflect that we have all 5 commissioners are present. Commissioner Jordan is on Zoom today. Thank you. We have received no written comment for items that are on today's agenda, so we'll go ahead and stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. So with that, then, we will open up our open public forum, and I do have a couple of people that have wanted to testify. So this is our open public forum for any item that is not on today's agenda. And so I will start with Becky Dickerhoff. And as you know, you have 3 minutes once you state your name and address for the record.
Becky Dickerhoff, Spokane City. There are many and varied reasons for homelessness in our county and country, including medical disaster, mental illness, economic collapses, climate disasters, and even crime victimization. We often cite drug abuse as being one cause, but there is considerable support that drugs are often a tool used to be vigilant against becoming a victim of crime or personal assault under these conditions. But that leads to fentanyl addiction. The reasons are not as important as the outcome and the excessive cost for our society. No matter the reason, we are now faced with a crisis in our own county. Being homeless means you are often at odds with your community. Those that are housed and thriving often do not have an understanding or compassion for those who have not been so blessed. This leads to demand for incarceration or warehousing or mass removal from the community. None of those is a real solution or even humane. As we all, advocates, providers, and government entities, try to deal with the reality of homelessness, we could continue to explore how to find the best solutions for everyone. They, like all of us, are unique. One of the growing groups of those facing shelter issues are the aging and medically challenged. Our hospitals and jails are expensive and limited solutions. The taxpayer bears those costs. Those costs are inflated by the very institutions that provide that limited care. They cannot be long-term solutions, and so they become a continuous loop of inefficiencies. The New York Times reported on June 10, 2024, had an in-depth report on the issue and one way communities are trying to help this group that needs respite care. I have included the link in my written testimony, and I encourage you to read what they report. Like everything else in the world of housing insecurity and homelessness, it takes funding. Currently, we have advocates who are trying to find solutions with their volunteers and funding sources. As we have all learned over the past several years, large congregate warehouses do not work. Research has long shown working with groups of 20 to 30 individuals has the best outcomes. We need to support and fund those types of programs who can work closely with their clients and provide the best outcomes. With collaboration and support from Spokane County, opportunities can be created for the senior, aging, and medically challenged unsheltered population in Spokane. To that end, I am here today to ask the County Commissioners to enact what is commonly referred to as a 1590 tax. This ordinance, which amended RCW 82.14.530, allows a county legislative authority to impose a sales and use tax not to exceed 0.1% of the selling price in the case of a sales tax or value of the article used in case of a use tax. While the 1590 is limited, end-of-life respite care or assisted living would fall under those restrictions. This funding could be a valuable tool in our county's struggle to address the crisis we face. Thank you.
Thank you. And just so for the record, we did receive your written testimony as well. Next, then, we have Betty Espinoza Kilbala. Okay, and Susie Hokinson has given her 3 minutes to you, so you will have 6 minutes since you're the last one that I have who signed up for open public forum. So, yeah, state your name and address for the record, and then we'll start your 6 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Betty Espinosa Kibala. I've been a resident of Spokane, West Central Kendall Yards area for 6 years. I'm here today to talk to you about what happened to Gracie Lou Freebush. Gracie Lou Freebush is my 100-pound Bernie Doodle service dog provided to me by the VA. On May 22nd, while walking from home to downtown, because we always enjoy going down Centennial Trail and delivering our mail to the main post office, delivered our mail, turned around to head home. Right in front of the main library, I noticed Gracie Lou was sniffing at something on the ground, what looked to be someone's lunch debris. In the 12 to 15 minutes it took us to walk back home, about a block ahead of my house, she started to stagger. Got inside the picket fence, and she fell sideways. She looked at me, and she let out a combination scream and bark. And I knew right then that this was not something that I could let go another minute. So I loaded her in my truck, which is a chore because she's 100 pounds. All the way driving to the emergency vet, I was, no, this can't be. Get her into the lobby of the emergency vet, and she vomited. In the vomit was a piece of foil. The minute the vet tech saw that, she called the vet out, and the vet said, we need to give her Narcan right now. She had ingested a piece of fentanyl-laced foil that was left in someone's garbage in front of the main library downtown. They gave her the Narcan. They said, go ahead and go home, which I didn't. It took 8 hours for her to open her eyes. In that process, she had lost control of her bladder. They kept coming in and wiping it up with pads, and her head was on my lap. And after 8 hours, she opened her eyes. It took another 4 hours for her to lift her head, and another 4 hours after that for her to be able to try to stand up. After several more hours at the emergency vet, we went home, and basically the vet said she'll probably be okay. It took 4 days of her basically sleeping before she got up and walked out into the yard regularly. It took another probably 4 to 5 days before it even looked like she was remotely herself. She went back to the vet this morning for her follow-up. She put on the brakes when we got to the door. She remembered what happened there. She's very smart. I call her a stinker doodle a lot, but as a Bernie Doodle, she's fully trained. If I sneeze and she's in the other room, she comes running because that's what she does for me as a PTSD service dog. I had to jump the same way to help her, but never ever would I have imagined that something like that could happen so quick on something as simple as a walk downtown. So this fentanyl problem and the opioid problem isn't just affecting the people that are in crisis and addiction. It's branching out to our parks. On the street, on Ash Street, next to the Kendall Yards Dog Park, there was about 3 weeks ago the caravan of campers and the overstuffed trucks, and 311 was called and they were moved on. But the next day there were needles in the grass. And my concern is, Gracie Lou Freebush, she's a very special dog for me. She's my service dog. Anybody's dog could have this happen, and fur babies or members of families. And speaking of that, a toddler, a curious toddler, can hands-on. And what we were told was that it doesn't take ingesting the foil or the debris. Simply skin contact can cause a severe reaction. Now imagine my dog is the size of 4 2-year-olds. And we all know that have children, how quickly they'll grab something. And again, it doesn't even have to go in their mouth. So what I'm advocating for, like Mayor Brown did, the emergency declaration for opioid, and what the council did with Clean and Safe Streets, that we address some sort of town hall or community awareness that there's debris, and in the meantime, while we're cleaning up the streets, that we remind families that that can happen, and not just to a canine or a cat or a child. So that's basically what I'm here to talk about today, is that I would have never imagined that it could happen so fast and be so severe in the reaction. But that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is our open public testimony. We do have a little bit more time, so if there's anyone else that would like to testify on our open public forum. See no one online or anyone in the audience. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify at our open public forum. See no one online and no one in the audience. I will close the open public testimony, open public forum, and I will look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move to approve items 3, 4, and 5, including all sub-items on today's 2 p.m. consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve items 3, 4, and 5, and all sub-items on today's agenda. Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Waldorf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a quick comment on item 4A, which is adopting the public participation program for the 2026 comp plan periodic update. I read through some original drafts of the public participation plan, and there was some great community comments, and I think it's a stronger plan for the feedback we got to the Plan Commission. And so I just wanted to thank the community members and the staff and the Plan Commission for their work to put together that guiding document so that we can do some great community engagement work over the next 2 years as we update our comp plan. So thanks to the staff on that.
No, and I will just comment that I was actually just at one of the forums, and a lot of really great public participation in the Valley, at the Valley Library for our comp plan. And so I think it's going to be a really great one. So thank you, and everyone stay involved on it. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, that takes us to item number 6 on today's agenda, which we have several public hearing items today. So Mr. Matt Zarakor, our County Road Engineer, I think you get to present for each one of these.
Thank you, Commissioner. And yes, this will be the first of 6 establishments that we're going to go through. The first one, is this the order you have them in? We'll be a little flexible here on order. It's all 6 of them we hopefully will go. Okay, that's fine. We'll go with that. All right. Thanks, Ron. So the first one we have,
I'm going to just double check. So the first one I have is to consider the establishment of Morton Drive in the Midway plat. Is that,
that's a different one.
This is C.
okay. So is our way to get A? I'd rather make sure we're going in order of what's on the agendas, because that's what the public has.
Yep.
First one's Morgan Platt at Midway.
Just, we have people testifying that I've got identified, so I just want to continue the order.
Yep, that's it. Okay. All right, thanks, Ron. So the first one we have is the establishment of Morton Drive, and it's in the plat of Midway. And the roads have been built and certified in accordance with Spokane County standards. It is the recommendation of my office that we establish these roads for county maintenance, and I'll be available to answer any questions.
Is there any questions for Mr. Zarakor? Okay, seeing none, then this is a public hearing item, so I will open it up to public comment. So this is for item number 6A. I don't have anyone previously signed up, so I will just open it up for anyone who wants to testify on item number 6A. See no one in the audience, no one online. Second call for anyone wishing to testify on item 6A. See no one. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6A. I will then close the public testimony and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the county engineer's recommendation and we adopt item 6A, which is to consider the establishment of Morton Drive in the Platte Midway Road, County Engineer Road File number 2652 for Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for item number 6A. Any further discussion? Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Seeing none, all those in favor then signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That will then take us to item number 6B, which is to consider the establishment of Custard Street and 65th Avenue in the Platte Moran View Estates Edition, County Engineers Road File number 1776 for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Thanks again, Commissioner. The second one, as you mentioned, is for Custer Street and 65th Avenue. They're on the side of Browns Mountain on the South Hill. And you can see here they come off the end of existing 65th Avenue. These roads, again, were built and certified in accordance with Spokane County standards, and it is, again, the recommendation of my office that we establish them for county maintenance. Happy to answer any questions.
Is there any discussion from the commissioners? Any questions? Okay. So this is an open public testimony item again, and I do have two people that have signed up. So I'll open the public testimony, and I will look to Vance Gregory. Yes, no, Ray Kortner. Yeah, you can come up first. So,
What I'm going to read to you, and I thought it might be easier to read along, and I can make it 3 minutes or less.
thank you, yes, because we still, if you'd state your name and address for the record, just similar to our open public testimony, you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Ray Kortner. I'm at 5402 East Custer Lane, Spokane, Washington. What I'm here for is the proposed extension of Custer Street to the south edge of Custer Lane appears to be, as it's drawn there, it appears to be a confiscation of the control of the non-conforming private road of Custer Lane that it abuts. Now, see the Elk Ridge there, but Custer Lane abuts that, and our easement goes all the way to past where it says Custer Street to the north. Here, the facts are, Custer Lane is approximately 1.5 miles long, dirt and gravel, non-conforming private road that is maintained, including snow removal, by the 17 paying members of the Browns Mountain Road Association. Custer Lane also serves the 6 non-paying families on Elk Ridge that is up above. At least 46 vehicles from the 23 families currently using the non-conforming private Custer Lane, there is at least 46 in the deal. Custer Street is the south constructed by Moran Vista Estates, was approved construction with the turnaround court that terminated Custer Street. That turnaround court was never developed as far as I could see. It's just dirt. We are informed now that there is confusion that where is the end of the road of Custer Street. And that's why we think they're trying to extend it up to Custer Lane. Our fears are, if the proposed extension is approved, it is believed the barriers on Custer Lane will be removed and the non-conforming Custer Lane will become a public thoroughfare to Spokane Valley. This will create a very treacherous condition on all the non-conforming private road. For this extension, Custer Street with the non-conforming Custer Lane would occur, it would effectively double the amount of families utilizing the road, as it would collect all the families from Moran View Estates plus 65th. Let's see. So it would, by opening it up, it makes a straight shot through to Glen Rose and down to the valley. and it would, by opening it, it would invite the vehicles to have access to Glen Rose, Carnahan Road, or to the Spokane Valley. The added traffic on the narrow gravel road would pose extreme danger on both pedestrians and vehicles as we come down and turn in there. And you will see I've provided a map for you where the roads intersect and that with a little color. It can't be assumed also that Browns Mountain Road Association, at their expense, to add gravel, maintain, and provide grading and snow removal for Custer Road. I'm out. I'm sorry.
Your 3 minutes is up. Thank you very much. So then it's Vince Gregory.
Yes, ma'am. Vince Gregory. I live at 5918 East Custer Lane. I'm also the association president for the Browns Mountain Road Association. So basically, to continue where Ray left off, we're proposing that the county roads be completed to, I guess, their standard, where there'd be a turnaround for safety and emergency vehicles at the cul-de-sac, which was how it was platted, and then some dead-end markings on 65th, and again, there was one on 57th and Custer Street that was removed for some reason by the county, not sure. But we've established through the county on multiple occasions that road is not a platted road. It's basically a trespassing done by the developers to ease access. We've had multiple safety incidents where people have gotten lost on that road, and it's really, it's not a road that you can take heavy equipment and vehicles up. And when that does happen, we've been trapped up there for days at a time when oversized vehicles try to go up that. And currently, there's nothing really stopping them. And we've tried to do it through Google and the county as well. So I guess our main concerns are the increased dangers and risk to the trespassing from Custer Street through Custer Lane. There's not a continuance, and you can kind of see that just through trespassing and through vehicles going, that they've developed a quote unquote, thoroughfare there. So our concern with the proposed thing is just that the trespassing stops and that is developed so it's safe for everybody in that lower development. And I believe that's all I've got.
Thank you.
Okay, hold on. Being paged here. All right, so proposed solution, construct the turnaround as it was platted. Another possibility would be to legally obtain the portion of Custer Lane and make the entire thing a county road, where we would have zero responsibility. At that point, it would be great for us. We would just simply put up a gate at Custer Street, and we would eliminate a lot of the people getting lost up there and trespassing and so on and so forth. So that's a possibility as well. Unfortunately, nobody from any of this process has contacted anybody on Custer Lane, 57th, Upper Custer Street, or Elk Ridge. Also, let's see, got that one. Correct the county what is this? I'm sorry. GIS maps to indicate private roads where they occur would also help. We've had some instances where emergency vehicles and stuff using Google Maps and stuff like that have been routed. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so this is a public testimony item. Again, on 6B, is there anyone else who would like to testify on item number 6B? And then we will just ask that once you're done, if you would just fill out the blue form, but just please, for the record, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Anna Campbell. I live at 6306 South Custer Street. It's the gray roof right underneath the R on Custer Street. And I wasn't planning on speaking. However, we also own most of the property up there and the rest of the development. I I came down mainly because I was very, very excited to have our road, which has been there for a little while, to be accepted by the county. Most of the area in blue is already built out, and there are a lot of neighbors that live up there, and it's a wonderful place to live. I've lived there since 1982 in that area. My husband's been there since 1956. So very excited about this. And from what I understand, we're only here today to accept the portion that is outlined in red. Not all the way to 57th or not all the way to Custer Lane. I understand the road association's issues. I am part of the road association. And there is a turnaround cul-de-sac just past my home. And so I'm not understanding what the problem is there. The road association has put up barricades without even contacting us. The barricades are on our property. And the barricades are there so that people from my neighbors cannot go all the way to 57. So that's not an issue. However, it is an issue for emergency vehicles. And just as an anecdote, my husband, who's on the heart transplant list, had a major incident just over a year ago. Fire department luckily came up 65th to our home. The ambulance, however, did not. They were routed up 57th, and so it took an extra 5 minutes for them to go back down and around. So, but that's something that hopefully we are handling as road association and neighbor. And so I don't believe that issue should have anything to do with accepting the roads that were built to the county standards, sidewalks, drainage, and all of that. And so my hope is that you will accept the road. It'll be the next step in our plat, which we also have plans for the rest of the hill. However, that's a little more economically driven. So anyway, I appreciate your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to testify on item number 6B? Seeing no one in the audience and no one else online, third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item 6B. I will close the public testimony, and then I will ask if there's any further questions for the county road engineer. I know I do, based on the testimony.
Thank you, Commissioner. And if it pleases the commissioners, I could give a little more background, and that might answer some of the questions.
Thank you.
So when we're looking at this map, as was pointed out, the only thing we're establishing is the red lines, that portion of the roadways that were improved. There is a future phase of this plat. This is a mid-90s plat. As the developer pointed out, it's just dependent upon time and economics and their desire to improve it. When the next portion of Custer to the north gets improved, it will trigger a condition on that plat to pave Custer Street the rest of the way up to 57th. So there will be a continuous paved street at that point that'll serve the entire neighborhood, not just the Moran View Estates. So those are a couple of things we have in the mix. Currently, Custer Street terminates at a gravel turnaround to cul-de-sac. That's how we do business. We make the plat do a temporary cul-de-sac that extinguishes on future platting so that it doesn't get in the way and doesn't make those weird bulbs that we've vacated on occasion. And it allows for a turnaround in the meantime for both our equipment and also for delivery vehicles, anybody else using the roadway. There has been discussion, I've been part of that discussion with both the neighborhoods and the fire department on whether we need to do more to block off what is not a roadway, but people cut through from the end of the cul-de-sac up to Custer Road as it exists. It's relatively flat and drivable. There is public right-of-way there, at least our mapping shows it, so it's not necessarily trespassing, but it's also not a built roadway. I think you all know we have the ability to break these links with our Shrek group through GIS so that the mapping doesn't route you that way. I think that can possibly be undone by the public by saying it is a connection. So it's not perfect. It's kind of the best technology we have, but we're happy to help facilitate that. I, at this point, was kind of looking for direction from the neighborhood and from the fire department on whether they want it gated or whether they want it permanently blocked, because it does provide an additional route of access in an emergent event. So those conversations are ongoing. They're not really relevant to what we're talking about today, whether we establish these roads that were built in accordance with our standards and are ready to be established, but it is context for the greater discussion in this neighborhood in this area. happy to answer any questions.
Any further questions? I think, I guess, we know of another road that I have a gate on that tends to be an issue. So, and living in an area that doesn't have a secondary exit, if there were a fire in this area, that provides a secondary exit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even developed to fire apparatus standards. It's a 2-track road across a field, essentially, and you could get out in an emergent event depending on weather conditions and the condition of what you're driving on. But during our fire season, it's very dry. The ground tends to be relatively hard. It would be a second access for our fire season, I'll call it, potentially. But I'm just staying on the peripheries of the conversation and waiting for the fire department and the neighborhood to tell me what they would like to see up there, because we're happy to facilitate it either way. The developer has said he will block it off at his own expense if that ends up being the decision everybody comes to. So the Campbells have been very good developers and very good partners in my experiences with them historically. So more to come on that.
Okay, so it is your, so I guess I just want to make sure I understand that you will continue to have those discussions at the request of either the road association or the developers.
Correct.
That you won't be reaching out, but they just need to reach back out to you.
Yeah, we talked earlier, well, it was last week now, and we had a pretty robust discussion that went on for a period of time. I had to leave before the end of it. I had to get back to a meeting here, but yeah, I'm happy to facilitate either way. I can hear the good arguments on both sides of the discussion, but somebody at some point has to decide which is more important and let us know, because we can go either way. We can help facilitate access, or we can help cut off access in the interim.
Okay, thank you. And then we're just only talking about the red line
Correct.
today.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. I think that answers my questions. Any further questions? Seeing none?
If I just, for our tens and tens of viewers at home, can you explain just what does it mean when we establish the roadway? What does that mean? What is our responsibility as far as those roads go? What does that actually mean? Because when people hear establish of a roadway, these roads are already paved. They are already built. What is in red. So, but can you explain, what does it mean? What is the county's responsibility now going forward?
Correct, yeah. When we do an establishment, we are formally taking over the perpetual maintenance of a roadway that's been built and constructed predominantly by development and in accordance with our standards. So we go out, we do inspection, construction, testing, make sure the roadways were built well before we take them over. And then through this process, we're formally saying that yes, Spokane County will take on sweeping, plowing, pothole patching, perpetual road maintenance for the roadway.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, I will look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve and accept the recommendation of the county engineer and adopt a public hearing item number 6B, which is to consider the establishment of Custer Street and 65th Avenue in the plat Moran View Estates Addition, County Engineer Road File number 1776 for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for item number 6B. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. And thank you for then being willing to continue the conversation, because I would hope that that continues, so. That will then take us to item number 6C on today's agenda, which is to consider the establishment of McKinnon Road, Stanley Road, and Bridgeport Court in the plat. I don't even, how do you say that? I'll let you go from here.
Yeah, I'll be happy to take that. Thank you, Commissioner. So again, this is the establishment of McKinnon Road, Stanley Road, Bridgeport Court, and these are in the Saconnie Heights and Saconnie Heights First Edition plats. And again, these roads were built and certified in accordance with our county standards, and it is again the recommendation of my office that we approve these and establish them for county maintenance. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any other questions? Testimony, okay. Okay, No further discussion or questions by the commissioners at this point in time, so then I will now open it up to public testimony on item number 6C. I don't have anyone pre-signed up, but if we have somebody online. Okay, I see online, we have Mr. Tyler Kent. If you
Yeah,
would- if
can you
would-
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. If you would just state your name and address for the record, and then you will have 3 minutes.
Sounds good. So my name is Tyler Kent, 3232 McKinnon Road. I'm the HOA president for the Sakana Heights HOA, so these 44 residents that you have here. And I just wanted to comment that I'm excited about the county taking over. And we just had the question of what status we were. I'm assuming residential for snowplow status, because I know that's been an ongoing issue with the neighborhood. And also ask about the intention of the county to take over the ongoing development. And actually, the McKinnon Road continues now, and now they're just paving the sidewalks for the new development, Sakani West, to the west, and if that's intended to go through this same process. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to testify on item number 6C? What? No, like, yeah. I apologize, Tyler, if you're wanting to speak again, we only allow one testimony per hearing item. But I know the county road engineer is always happy to listen to questions away from the testimony, away from the open public forum. So is there anyone else who would like to testify on item number 6C? Seeing no one in the audience, no one else online. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6C. I will then close the public testimony and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the county engineer's recommendation and adopt public hearing item number 6C, consider the establishment of McKinnon Road, Stanley Road, and Bridgeport Court in the plat Sakani Heights and Sakani Heights First Edition, County Engineer Road File number 2686 for Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for item number 6C. Is there any further discussion? I will just state that I know, again, the county road engineer is happy to have anybody reach out to him to get those questions answered. So any further discussion? Seeing none from the commissioners. Oh, just a second, county road engineer has a comment.
Well, just to Mr. Kent's question regarding the future platting, as we discussed, the ongoing platting to the west in Sakani West will also, at the pace the developer picks, come before us and be certified and approved and become public roads also. So yes, at some point, those timelines are out of the county's control. It's really up to the developer. They do have really significant sureties in place, typically guaranteeing the construction, so they're usually fairly motivated to move those forward in a timely fashion. So don't control the schedule, but I would imagine sooner than later that'll be before you for establishment also. And again, as you pointed out, happy to answer any questions outside the public hearing.
Thank you. And it will go through the same process that this has gone through.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of item number 6C on today's agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, that's going to take us to item 6D on today's agenda, which is to consider the establishment of Summit Road, County Engineers Road File number 2770, thank you, for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
All right, thank you again, Commissioner. This one's a little different. This is a rural plat, large lot subdivision, they call them. You can see it's in northeast Spokane County, outside the urban area, Bigelow Gulch being to the south and Lehman to the west. The portion being requested for establishments, the line in red is with the other exhibits. And this road, again, has been built and constructed in accordance with our standards, and we're satisfied with it. And I do recommend that we establish it for county maintenance. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, are there any questions for the county road engineer? Seeing none, this is a public testimony item, so I will open public testimony for item number 6D. Seeing no one in the audience and no one online, second call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6D. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on 6D. Seeing no one in the audience and no one online, I will close the open public testimony for the public hearing and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve public hearing item number 6D and accept the county engineer's recommendation to consider the establishment of Summit Road, County Engineer Road File number 2770 for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for item number 6D. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That will then take us to item number 6E on today's agenda, which is to consider the establishment of Yearling Road, Sheridan Road, Avalia Road, Ranchetta Road, and Ranchette Court in the plats, the estates of Chattaroy and the estates of Chattaroy First Edition, County Engineers Road File number 4690 for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Thank you again, Commissioner. Appreciate your patience with these establishments. We are catching up, and we're already halfway done. So this one you can see is pretty far north. This is a rural cluster development. It is in the little community of Chattaroy up there. That's directly west of Highway 2, if you've ever been up in the area. And these roads, again, are interesting in that they're in a very rural setting, but they are urban roadways with curb and sidewalk. And these roads, again, have been built and certified in accordance with our standards, and happy to answer any questions I recommend establishing.
Is there any questions? Seeing no questions at this time, then I will open up the public hearing item for 6E on today's agenda. First call for anyone wishing to testify. Second call for anyone wishing to testify on 6E. Seeing no one online or no one in the audience. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6E. Seeing no one, then I will close the public hearing and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve public hearing item number 6E and accept the county engineer's recommendation to consider establishment of Yearling Road, Sheridan Road, Avalia Road, Ranchette Road, and Ranchette Court in the plats, the estates at Chattaroy and the estates at Chattaroy First Edition, County Engineered Road File number 4690 for Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I would just state that there is like a Scribner's error where it says County Engineers Road Ryle instead of files, so we will make that change just as a Scribner's error. I've already opened and closed. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, motion passes unanimously. That will then take us to item number 6F on today's agenda, which is to consider the establishment of 72nd Avenue, Arrow Road, Harlow Street, Dorchuk Street, Chelan Avenue, Haver Street, Highton Street, Holly Street, and Clare Avenue, and the plats Thomas Manor and Thomas Manor Phase 2, County Engineers Road File number 2648 for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Thank you again, Commissioner. Last establishment for the day. Yeah, the road names are getting very creative. And again, this is an urban plat. It's out on the West Plains. It's in the we call it the West Terrace neighborhood. And again, the roadway is being established. It's 2 phases of 1 plat. There's an additional phase yet to come. And you can see all the roads there outlined in red. And these roads were again built and certified in accordance with our standards. And it is our recommendation that we establish them for county maintenance. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Zarecor? Seeing none, then this is a public hearing item. I will open up the public hearing for item number 6F on today's agenda. No one has signed up, so seeing no one in the audience and no one online, second call for anyone wishing to testify on 6F. Seeing no one online and no one in the audience, third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6F. Seeing no one, I will close the open public hearing testimony and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve item 6F and accept the county engineer's recommendation to consider the establishment of 72nd Avenue, Arrow Road, Harlow Street, Dorchuk Street, Salan Avenue, Heaver Street, Heighton Street, Holly Street, and Clare Avenue in the Platts, Thomas Manor, and Thomas Manor Phase 2, County Engineer Road File Number 2648 for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for item number 6F. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That will then take us to item number 6G on today's agenda, to consider revising Spokane County Traffic Code Section number 46.61.4155.4 to add 35 miles per hour on North Road, Summit Road, Whipple Road, and Spotted Road for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Thank you for the last time this afternoon, Commissioner. Appreciate your patience and your time. And a little background on this, any paved roadway outside the urban area is by default a 45-mile-an-hour road unless we do what we're doing here and pass a code revision to make it something else. So there's been requests typically from the public for us to take a look at sections of road that they feel the speed limit may not be appropriate. Our traffic engineer, Nate Thompson, goes out, evaluates them, makes a recommendation to us, and then we pass it along to the board for their consideration. There's first one is up north. The name of the road is North Road. You can see it's directly adjacent to Highway 395 up south of Deer Park. And the section of road kind of starts and ends into the highway. It's mainly just for the local residents. There's not a lot of through traffic on this road. And between the curvature of the road and the alignment and also the density of folks that live along portions of it, it's our recommendation that we reduce the speed limit to 35 miles an hour on this section of road. Next slide. This next one might look a little familiar from the establishments we just did. That western portion of the red line was just established, and we're taking the opportunity to also establish the speed limit here. You can see again there's very little need for through traffic on this section of road, and 35 miles an hour feels far more appropriate than 45. Lehman also is already 35 miles an hour, so it kind of makes sense in context of the adjacent roadways. So our recommendation again on this one, and the recommendation of our traffic engineer, is to make it 35. Next slide. And then the last one was a request from the neighborhood. If you've ever driven this section of Spotted Road out on the West Plains where it ties into Cheney Spokane Road, it is windy both horizontally and vertically. It goes up and down quite a bit. The trees are fairly close to the road. There is a lot of wildlife. We had some comments from some of the neighbors with concerns about the wildlife and also the speeds on the road for people walking and trying to bike on the road. And after our traffic engineer went out and took a look at it, and I looked at it too, it is our recommendation that we also reduce this roadway to 35 miles an hour. And then after the north end, it will go back to 45 miles an hour. After that point, it gets very straight and open, and 45 is more appropriate for that section. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Matt? Okay, seeing none, this is a public hearing item, and I do have someone who has signed up, Mark Eckenrich. I'll let you state it correctly when you come up. If you please state your name and address for the record, and you will have 3 minutes.
It'll take me 3 minutes, but my name is Mark Eckrich. I live on Spotted Road. My personal opinion is that it's a waste of county money to change that to 35 miles an hour, if nothing else, just for the signs, because the 45 mile an hour speed limit is not enforced on Spotted Road. I guarantee it. I see cars go 60 plus miles an hour constantly on that road. I do not see a 35 mile an hour speed limit being enforced, to be quite honest with you. So that's just my 2 cents. But in talking to some of the other neighbors, The fellow that lives across the street from us is a retired Spokane police officer, and he feels the same way. He said there's no one out there to enforce that speed limit, so.
Thank you. And, okay, and Commissioner Jordan, I will come to you when we close the public testimony. Oh, it's the person, okay. I'm sorry. David Cyphers. So if you would.
Hi.
Yes, thank you. If you would state your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you. My name's David Cyphers. I live on South Spotted Road, and I just want to thank those who were doing the work on looking at the speed limit there. This is a road that I drive to work at Eastern Washington University. I ride my bike to work sometimes, and the 45 is not a safe speed limit for that area. And I really appreciate lowering this. This is a road that is so narrow that not only is there no bike lane, there's not a shoulder, there's not even room to paint the line on the side of the road. So it's a place that I need the cars to go relatively slowly when I'm on my bike so that they can keep me safe, but also when I'm driving. This is a very windy road. There's a lot of wildlife near there, and when I'm driving, 35 feels okay to me, but I don't want people riding me when I'm driving that road there. And I understand Mark's point about that these roads are not patrolled very much in terms of the speed limit, but I think the signage would be helpful, particularly for those who don't drive the road very often, that they're just visually there to indicate what the safe speed is in that area. And I very much appreciate those working on that. Thank you.
Thank you. So second call for anyone else wishing to testify on item number 6G. Seeing no one else online and no one else in the audience, third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6G. Seeing no one online or no one in the audience, I will close the open public testimony and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve public hearing item number 6G, accept the county engineer's recommendation, and consider revising Spokane County Traffic Code section number 46.61.4155.4, add 35 miles per hour North Road, Summit Road, Whipple Road, and Spotted Road for Spokane County Public Works Department.
So, go ahead.
Second.
I've got a question and stuff, so I don't want to second it when I've still got a question. But go ahead, I can ask my question during discussion.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second, because the second did happen.
Yeah.
So any further discussion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Ziricor, could you come to the microphone for one more time, please? So, could you help me be a little bit more descriptive about the process you use for establishing what the appropriate speed limit should be on a road like this? I'm more concerned about Spotted Road. I mean, we've got two people that have testified, one in favor and one against, and so I'm just trying to get a better feeling for how did we come to the assessment that we need to lower the speed limit on that road?
You know, when we evaluate them, there's a number of different things they do. If the most comprehensive way is to do a speed study and actually evaluate the speeds of the traffic, and there's some guidance documents that you follow, and those tell you whether the speed should be raised or lower based upon driver behavior on the existing roadway. The other way you can do it is you can look at the geometrics of the road and compare them to national standards. We have in our road standards, they call them K values, maximum curvature rates for horizontal and vertical curves that guide a new roadway so that you have adequate sight distance for stopping and maneuvering. So those are a couple of different ways. There's some less tangible criteria, such as vegetation being close to the road, that might obstruct sight distance more than you would typically expect. So there's a number of different things. On this one, there was not a speed study that I'm aware of. It was more just looking at the geometrics of the existing roadway. They don't meet standards for a 45-mile-an-hour road. Other things include people where driveways come in, is there adequate sight distance? So if somebody's pulling out of a driveway, a driver on the roadway or the driver pulling out would have time to make a decision and react.
So do we have a reasonable expectation that the sheriff has actually got the resources to patrol the street? Or are we going to be relying on the good faith of drivers to obey the speed limit?
Well, for my part, I'm not going to speak for the sheriff's department on what
Yeah,
their
I know.
resources look like. Inside of that, it is not enforceable if we don't lower the speed limit. You know, they can't write a ticket if I leave it at 45 miles an hour for somebody going 45 miles an hour. So, you know, they don't even have the tool at their disposal to come out and enforce if we don't lower the speed limit. And, you know, it's just another thing, the intangibles that he talked about when you're driving it is somebody tailgating you, when you're riding your bike. People decide whether or not they obey speed limits. That's driver behavior, and
Right.
none of us really have much luck controlling that, except for enforcement and people making their own decisions. But yeah, it's at least gives the sheriff's department the option of going out and performing enforcement on the roadway.
So one last comment. And I'm looking back to, and this could be a couple of years ago, so my memory might not be perfect on this. But if you make a recommendation and we don't accept it, and then there's an accident on there as a result of us not accepting your recommendation, as I remember, it puts the county at a higher level of risk associated with any potential damages or any potential accident that could happen on that road. Is my memory accurate in that area or not?
That is certainly possible, Commissioner, though I would not want to have an in-depth conversation about that in an open public meeting.
Okay. Fair, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ziricourt.
You bet.
So we did this with Chapman Road out in the valley here recently, and I think one of the things that we did is we went from 45 to 35, and it wasn't a thoroughfare. And so I think one of the requests we did make of the sheriff's department was to put the reminder, flashing, 35 mile, you adjust it, but the reader board. So as we make the change to this road, if it gets approved, I'd request that we ask the sheriff's department to put that out there, just to notify people that it's a new speed limit. Because yes, the sheriff's department doesn't have enough people to be on every road in Spokane County, as we know, are 2,500 lane miles of road. So I would request that we do that, especially for this one, because since it is kind of more of a public use road, which would be important. But I think, it does give the sheriff's department the ability, if there is an accident, that they can point to the 35 mile an hour speed limit versus a 45 mile an hour speed limit. And so we are trying to at least make it safer.
Yeah.
Commissioner French.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay,
Do we
so
wanna-
I did not get it on my phone, so if you would like to state it
Yeah,
for the
well,
record, just so people
so-
understand what just happened.
Yeah, so we just got an emergency alert. So there's a level 3 evacuation, which is a go, leave now. This may be your only notice. Spokane Fire District 3 has crews working a brush fire. Residents living to the west to Abbott and east to Dorset, north to Hallett, south to Morning Lane must leave now due to the life-threatening conditions in your area. Monitor your phone and media for information. So if there is anybody in that area, I would strongly. Yeah. I was just upgrade from Hallett Fire last year, and so I'm thinking, I think it might be time for me to go. So anyway, obviously that whole area is in need of fire protection and stuff, and that's something that I am and others are trying to work with the city to try and promote. So I was going to say that in this situation where I have two folks, oh, thank you. Where I have two folks in an opposing position with regard to an issue, I'm going to err on the side of caution and safety for the citizens. And so I'll be voting in favor of the motion predominantly because of any potential safety issues associated with this area. Thank you.
And that is speaking to item number 6G on today's agenda.
And just to your point regarding, we have, Public Works also has a number of radar speed trailers, so we're happy to put them out there. And it does a couple of things. One, it reminds people to slow down, but also notifies them of the speed limit change, so there's more awareness on it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I would appreciate that. Okay, any further discussion for Mr. Zarecor? Or for the commissioners? Okay, with that then, I have a motion and a second for item number 6G on today's agenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. So that takes us to the end of our agenda. Is there anything else, Mr. Simmons or Mr. Anderson, to come before the commissioners?
Nothing for me, Commissioner.
Nothing from me as well.
Okay. Thank you. Then I would just say, please be aware of the emergency that was just declared for the area out on the West Plains, for anyone listening. And with that, then I will adjourn the meeting, and we will see everybody back next week. Thank you all very much.